Let me guess what you think most podcast hosts are looking for in their guests. A huge following, a best-selling book, a rags to riches story, blue tick, and probably a perfect TEDx style pitch. But let me spoil that for you. It's none of those. And I'm sure that your friends, family, or other business owners have told you you've got to do all of this. Some will help, most don't. But I will admit, if you're aiming for Diary of a CEO, Joe Rogan, Modern Wisdom, or Andrew Huberman, then yes, you're going to need to value stack a lot of the above, and probably a lot more. But the way to get up to those top caliber shows is by doing the groundwork on smaller shows. How do you think they got onto those big shows? They didn't just build a following and then ask. They built a following by going on podcasts, proving how good they were, building up an engaged, loyal audience, working their way up and being invited onto those shows. And the best part of that is the ultimate form of proof if you've done it already on the smaller shows. And guess what? You'll make a ton of money in the process on your way up. In this video, I'm going to break down what great podcasts are actually looking for and how to position yourself so hosts want to book you before they even meet you. You see, here's the problem. Most people guess what hosts actually want. They think if I just write a long pitch explaining everything I've ever done, surely they'll see that I'm legit. Look how impressive I am. Instead, what hosts see is noise. No hook, no angle, just another expert blending it. That's bearing in mind if the host doesn't have a team to paper shift these kind of pitches out. So if you've been sending cold pitches and getting ghosted, or worse, you're not even trying because you think you're not ready, this video is going to flip that. I'm Freddie. I run a top 1% podcast where I've interviewed more than 100 guests with a combined net worth of more than $3 billion, including Chris Do, Dan Henry, Lauren Tickner, and Daniel Priestley. My team and I have also helped more than 200 entrepreneurs, experts, and business owners to turn podcast guesting into their top marketing channel and drive hundreds of thousands of dollars to their businesses. Now let's talk about what actually makes a guest stand out. These are the 5 things every host, including my team, is secretly scanning for when we get a pitch or we land on your profile. Number 1 is personal brand. This doesn't mean big audience. Personal brand is such a buzzword these days. What it actually means to us is clarity. Do you know who you are, what you stand for, and how to express it in one sentence? I say this all the time. We don't want another business expert. We want someone niche. We don't want a fitness expert. We want you to talk about one angle. We want you to solve a problem, bring a solution for our audience. Hosts want guests who are anchored. So not I'm a bit of everything, but more like I help SaaS founders build systems that make them less stressed or more scalable, as an example. The second part here is perspective or opinions. You see, the best guests bring strong takes. The last thing we want is someone who's going to sit on the fence the entire time, because no one's going to resonate, no one's going to watch, no one's going to listen. We don't want hot takes, we want strong takes. What do you believe that goes against the grain in your industry? We all have industry takes that are probably different to what everyone believes. But actually, we haven't got to be super controversial to get the attention that we need on those takes. So what truth have you uncovered that others haven't is a good question to ask. If you sound like every other coach or founder, you will never ever stand out. And that's really difficult, right? Because we're all scared to put our heads above the parapet and say something slightly different. But on podcast, you have to, because there are so many out there. People are not going to click on a podcast and listen to you for an hour unless you've got something new that's going to benefit them. And the third part here that we're all looking for as hosts and as podcast teams is the angle. Some of our best guests, our top, most well-known guests, they come to us with an angle. They already tell us what they think we should talk about because they know what podcast they've been on recently before we even do the research, and they know the angle that they're taking their business over the next couple of quarters. They know what they want to talk about. This is a big one. It's the entry point to your story, really. So the example would be, you're not just a leadership coach. You're the woman who quit nursing and built a 6-figure business teaching emotional intelligence to male-dominated tech firms. The angle makes your story sticky. It makes us want to tell our partners, our friends, our family, I heard this today, and that's how knowledge spreads. And fourthly, I want to talk about experience. So yes, hosts want guests who've done things, but that doesn't mean it has to be awards or exits. It means, have you built something? Have you failed at something? Perhaps lived something people need to hear about. Because experience makes you trustworthy, but it only works if you know how to frame it, and more on that in a second, but framing it is really, really key. Number 5 is proof of presence. So this is one thing, this is the only one people over-index really. I think, everyone thinks this is more difficult than it actually is. Because yes, like having a few clips, a one page or a LinkedIn presence definitely helps. But it's not a deal breaker. You could always improve them later on. You really don't want to be famous, You just need to prove that you won't ramble, freeze, or waffle for 45 minutes. We've had guests on who are very well known. They've got their incredible businesses or their incredible positions in businesses. And as soon as the little red lights come on and we start recording, they come into their shell. They shrink into their shell and they really can't speak. Or they speak for too long, or they just speak for too short. It never works very well. So a personal brand and some of those things I mentioned is not a guarantee of professionalism and expertise. So let's check if you're ready. Let's do a really quick self-audit. Number 1, can you explain what you do in one sentence without using buzzwords? If you can't, then you need to simplify that. The reason we don't use buzzwords is because they can change over time. Trends can change. What do you do at its most simplest form? Number 2, can you point to one belief or idea that makes you different from others in your niche? If not, get clearer. Narrow down on your perspective. What makes you different? Number 3 is, do you have 2 or 3 stories or experiences? They haven't got to be well formed. They just have to be helpful to explain to people that something taught you something, and then you can teach others and they can benefit from it. If yes, then that's great. Your podcast ready. If not, I would narrow these down. We've got loads of other videos coming about how to create the best stories. But right now I would just say, just find 2 or 3 that resonate with what you do, where you've come from, perhaps where you're going. Remember that have to always be solution focused, helping the audience. The 4th question I've got for you is, can you speak about your offer without sounding salesy? You don't want to sound like a sales robot. Can you bring it in to a podcast? So you don't want to speak about directly, I can help you with this. What you do want to do is start thinking about how you can emotionally charge the audience towards what you do, what you think, what you sell. If you can't do that, practice your framing. Practice framing your value as a story, not a pitch. It's completely different to pitching. If you start pitching, people are going to turn off. So let's build out a mini toolkit together. This is what I would include, even if you're brand new. Make sure you've got a really, really clear one-liner. So this is I help who do what so they can, and then there's the outcome. Second one would be your belief shift. So share a common belief in your industry, then explain how you see it differently and why. Number 3, your core story. Pick one story with emotion, conflict, and resolution, something that shows who you are, not just what you do. And then you should have some sort of soft CTA. It could be just to follow you. It could be, some hosts might say, where can people find you online? It might be that you've got something that you can drop into conversation if they ask you a certain question or a certain set of questions that you can give that audience, and it will really help them. So you need to know what people want to have or do after hearing from you. Like I say, it could be visit your site, download a resource, follow you on LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever it is. Hosts, and myself included, really love when someone comes prepared. I love when someone brings me an angle or says, can I do this? As long as it fits within our frameworks, it shows they're intentional. It shows they're taking it seriously. They're not just winging it. So many people go on podcasts and they just think they're so confident. They think what they've done is valuable and interesting. And quite frankly, when you speak to thousands of people around the world, it might not resonate as well as you think it does. So do you want to know who gets booked the most onto top podcasts? It's not the loudest. It's the person who can walk into an interview with a clear identity, a powerful belief shift, a story that makes people really lean in, and the ability to talk like a real human, not like a LinkedIn or an Instagram headline or bio. You see, the guests who get booked over and over, the ones especially that we work with, they're relatable experts. They know their lane because they speak with clarity and they always leave you thinking, I want to know more about them. So if you've been holding back, thinking you're not ready because you don't know when you're going to write a book, or if your book's very good, or you've not got a massive following or a viral moment, whatever it might be, stop waiting. Podcast hosts are looking for you now. So you can start by answering the questions, what's a belief I have that most people don't? What story from my journey shaped who I am? And what's one thing that makes someone else's life easier or clearer if I told them? You see, if you answer those, you're already more prepared than 80% of pitches that I see. We get 20 pitches, more than 20 pitches a week for our show. And I know other shows that get way more than that. And we paper shift them straight out because no one is answering these questions. If you want help crafting all of this, we've got some free resources and playbooks in the link below. But honestly, just start. You're already more interesting than you think. You just need to say it out loud. As always, thank you for watching this video. Subscribe below and I will see you in the next one.